About to be inaugurated, I have taken the opportunity to write a sermon for the morning nearest the inauguration in the form of a letter to the new president. I continue that tradition today. From the outset, allow me to assure you that this is not a political exercise. In fact, it is an exercise in practical theology, of bringing the Scriptures alongside the events of our national life. The good news of the gospel is in this letter. You may need to listen a bit more carefully than you do at other times, but it's in there. So here we go. Dear Mr. President, I address you a bit prematurely as Mr. President, but by the time you receive this correspondence, that will be the appropriate address. As of this Tuesday, just a few minutes past noon Eastern Time, you will become the 44th President of the United States. You will, of course, make history, becoming the first African American to hold the highest office in our land. I congratulate you on a magnificent campaign that you ran, the way in which you inspired the people of this country in a way that has not been seen in a very long time. When you came to our attention 4 years ago, your address to the National Democratic Convention captured the imagination of all of us who believed, as you declared, that we are not red states or blue states. We are the United States. Frankly, you had some of us then. Others were a bit more hesitant to join your cause. Some of us feared that you might be a flash in the pan, a speech in a suit. But you weren't. Your intelligence, imagination, and visionary leadership soon won over many of us, though to be honest, there are still a few Presbyterians in Evansville, Indiana who are suspicious. Your articulate presentation of your views, especially your speech on race, proved that you not only have an astounding thought process, but the ability to share those thoughts in a way that is both understandable and thought-provoking. So I congratulate you on the forthrightness of your campaign, your historic victory, and the audacious hope you have given this nation at a time when desperation exists on so many levels. The polling evidence is that the American people trust you to lead us out of the current national difficulties into a new day. You have the goodwill of the American people, a commodity not always enjoyed by your predecessors. We trust you to do what is best for our nation, and especially for those who are so often forgotten: the poor, the undereducated, the underemployed and the unemployed, those in economic distress, the marginalized, the victims of discrimination, the wounded warriors, and all those for whom the promise of America still has a hollow ring. Mr. President, I find the alignment of the Martin Luther King Jr. national holiday and your inauguration to be a particularly serendipitous conjunction. On election night, David Gergen said that Dr. King was Moses leading the people into the promised land. He then said that you were Joshua, helping the people tame and conquer that land. It is, I think, a helpful analogy. This evening, your feet will touch the plaque on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, where Dr. King delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech. It is a moment he would have liked to see, though I imagine he will rejoice all the same on the distant and brighter shore. A quotation from Dr. King appears on one of our church bulletin covers this morning. It says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." It is taken from Dr. King's collection of sermons, "The Strength to Love," published in 1964. You entered the Oval Office in a time of great challenge and controversy. 2 wars, an economy in serious danger, a bitterly divided and partisan recent history, a growing gap between rich and poor, families facing foreclosures on their homes, a rising unemployment rate, a climate change, our national addiction to oil. All of these and more are waiting for you on your first day of work as president. Sadly, your days of comfort and convenience will be few. You will stand in times of great challenge and potentially destructive controversy. And Dr. King was right. How you stand and face those challenges and controversies will be the way we evaluate you and remember you. Rightly or wrongly, fairly or unfairly, you will be measured by the degree of success you have in facing the great issues of our day. And some of that judgment will be severe and unnecessarily painful. As a brother in Christ, I remind you, as with all of Christ's sisters and brothers, God is with you. Not because you're the President of the United States. God is with you because you are a child of God. The marvelous thing about God's presence and grace is that it has absolutely nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with God. God will be with you because you are Barak, child of the covenant, and not because you are Barak, President of the United States. In those moments which none of us can foresee and which you will face the greatest and most important of decisions, know that God is with you. In those moments which none of us can begin to imagine, when dangers surround and choices seem few, remember that God will never leave you or forsake you. Many of your predecessors have offered many words concerning their faith. I ask you, sir, show us your faith in your actions and use words only when absolutely necessary. Mr. President, much has been made of your enormous popularity and charisma. Some of the more cynical voices have referred to you as the Messiah. This is both unfair and unfortunate, but it does disclose how desperate the people of our nation are for leadership that can be trusted and for a dramatic change in the direction of our nation. We have, I fear, placed a greater expectation on you than may be fair. I feel that many will expect the economy to be back on track, the bulls to be running on Wall Street, the unemployment rate to shrink, healthcare to be available, and global warming to be solved before lunch on Wednesday. The simple truth is that with problems so great, the needs so many, and the hopes of the people running so high, you must remember that you may not be able to make everything better quickly. The possibility of a very brief honeymoon is very real. As a nation, we are a bit like ancient Israel. Times are tough, and we want someone to make it all better. They cried out for a king. We cry out for a Messiah. The prophet Samuel warned the people about expecting their king to do for them what God alone could do. The people cried out for a king to be like all the other nations of the world, but God realized that they were asking from human sources what God alone could provide: hope, presence, sustenance, stability, and a sense of permanence.